Hello friends, welcome back to a new session. This is Ramavtar here and today we'll discuss about the acrylic reagents for coatings. So in this session we'll come to know that and what are the importance of acrylic reagents and what are acrylic reagents and how can they improve film properties of your coating formulations in detail. Then we'll also learn about their major categories, different forms, and the selection criteria to choose the best product for your formulation based on the applications. So let us begin with the topic. So acrylic resin for coating. Do you know that an acrylic resin? What is an acrylic resin? So an acrylic resin, you can say it's a polymeric material, should be in a solution, dispersion, or solid, containing acrylic monomers, and these monomers are usually actually esters of acrylic, methacrylic acid, and could be their derivatives, and can be functionalized by introducing different chemical groups. We can say chemical groups like we indicate as R, and other monomers can also be incorporated in the polymer chains in order to obtain some resin like different properties and lower cost of reagents. Then there are general acrylic reagents. Actually they are having very good chemical and photochemical resistance properties, and they are commonly used in many different applications, from solvent based to water based industrial coatings and to architecture coatings. So next we'll know what are the parameters and all properties, how can they impact on the resin properties and all. So here are some key parameters of an acrylic reagents. First one is TG. This is a glass transition temperature. In detail will come in a next topic. Then average molecular weight of the polymers. Then polymer molecular weight distribution. So you know that these three parameters can an impact on the resin properties like viscosity. Mostly your molecular weight and weight distribution will impact on the viscosity and dispersion. Then on the final film, film forming and coating obtained like flexibility and hardness depends on the TG, means glass transition temperature of the resin. Then there are some typical acrylic monomers. It could be like methacrylate and all. So what are the main categories of an acrylic reagents? You know, depending on the compositions, we can divide acrylic reagents in two different categories. First one is a pure acrylic reagents, and second one is a complex acrylic reagents. So pure acrylic reagents, first we'll discuss. Pure acrylic reagents means these type of reagents contain only acrylic monomers. As by the name you can just understand, pure acrylic means those will contain only pure acrylic monomers, and on each monomer different functionalization groups like we can say R groups are possible. The most common ones include means those reagents having some simple hydrogen atoms leading to the presence of carboxyl groups in the water. Then non-reactive groups. So as non-reactive groups, for instance alkali chains that contain only carbon and hydrogens, these may prevent reactions with other compounds. As by name you can say non-reactive means that will prevent the reaction with other compounds and thus improve the reagent chemical resistance properties as well. Then some reactive groups. So reactive groups as for instance containing hydroxy functional groups which could react with isocyanates or melamines, or glycidyl functions epoxy group that will react with amines, carboxylic acid, and also these groups will allow bonding between polymers chains and will lead to cross-linking and to the performance of a stronger polymeric materials, and would increase the performance of a polymeric material like hardness and all and curing properties. Then you know that there are different functionalizations will have an influence on the resin properties, on its use in different applications, and on the final properties of the film like will coating obtain. Then as functionalizations and thus the presence of carboxyl groups can improve the addition on substrate. Means if you are having more carboxyl groups in your resin, back resin chain, then it will improve the adhesion on the substrate. And a large number of carboxylic groups will also help to solubilize the resin in water. Means if you are having large number of carboxylic groups, then it will help to solubilize the resin in water. Means your resin solubility would increase in the water. Then in order to obtain some with some specific properties or to reduce its cost with the monomers can be imported into acrylic polymers, which depend the kind of monomers and other technologies chemicals you can add in the acrylic monomer chain to just reduce the cost and optimize some other properties. So these kind of monomers generally we'll discuss about the complex acrylic resins. So one more familiar example of complex acrylic resin is styrene. So styrene is probably the most used, and the resulting resins are known as styrene acrylic. It's having two it's a copolymer of styrene and acrylic resins. So these monomers are significantly less expensive than the pure acrylic ones, and they are known to increase water resistance and lead to both alkali resistance and improved hardness. Means they are very good in water and alkali resistance and would give you good hardness properties as well. So generally for interior use you can use, but they are having very poor performance for exterior. They lead to chalking and yellowing when they expose uh, to UV and all. Then severe issues that reduce the potential of application. So for interior use you can use styrene acrylic resins, but for exterior those are not good resins. Then there are some major forms of acrylic resins, and you know that acrylic resins are available under different forms like thermoplastic acrylic resins, cross-linking resins, and acrylic latex. So we'll know about each one by one. What is this and what cross-linking and acrylic latex is. So before starting, we can say like another distinction can be made between solvent-based acrylic resins, where the resin is solubilized in a solvent or solvent blend, than a water-based resins where the resin are formulated in water. Simply by name you can say solvent-based means solvent, it would be soluble in solvent. Water-based means it would be soluble in or formulated in water. Then a very specific class of water-based resins is latexes. So latexes generally be used for architectural paints, emulsion of acrylic resins that become very resistant once the water is let to evaporate. So coming on thermoplastic acrylic resins. So generally thermoplastic resins, these are the polymer composing the resins don't contain any reactive groups. Means those kind of resins, those are not having any kind of reactive groups, are called thermoplastic acrylic resins. Thus in these resins the polymer chains are not cross-linked because those are not having any reactive groups. And to improve the interaction between different polymer chains, high molecular weight polymers are used. Means in this kind of resins having very high molecular weight polymers. So because of that they are having some application areas where we can use this kind of resins, and they are not having one more thing, they are not having any specific TG. So because of that we can use as adhesives and in inks as well, and for exterior application than temporary protection for metal. And what are the properties these kind of resins would give you? These are very good resin for water resistance and would give you excellent resistance for yellowing. Now you can use for exposure as well. Would give you very good gloss retention properties, and those are very good in fast drying. Then good resistance to alkali conditions and adhesion. So these are the basic properties these kind of resin would give you. So and generally thermoplastic resins normally soften and can be reshaped when the temperature increase, because those are not having a specific TG. This property makes these resins the ideal conditions for some industrial processes like injection moldings and compression moldings or extrusions you can use. The main use of these resins include ink and adhesives. Now coming on cross-linking resins. So cross-linking resins actually resins that can be cured to promote chemical interactions between different polymer chains. and curing, which can lead to more complex polymer structures, and thus two stronger materials can occur in different conditions, because we know that one chemical will add and it will react to different polymers and will help to curing, and will start cross-linking, so automatically it would give you better hardness properties. That will depend mainly on the active group present in the polymers, means which kind of active groups you are using in a polymer chain. That depends, hardness mostly depends on that, or curing. So these are regions actually, cross-linking regions when reactive groups are present acrylic regions can be cross-linked by allowing to interaction between two different polymer chains, and these can occur in specific conditions like as for instance a certain temperature or under UV light and different kind of atmospheres. And a catalyst, like utprerak we can say, may also be added to promote and accelerate the chemical reactions between the polymer chains. So we can distinguish between two types of cross-linking system. First one is externally cross-linking regions, which requires curing agent. Externally means which those kind of regions require a curing agent. Curing agent, for example, like chemicals that would react with the polymers. Then second one is self cross-linking regions. So self cross-linking regions, generally in this first case the R group is commonly as hydroxyl functionalized chain along the reaction with melamine isocyanate curing agent. The kind of formulations reagent plus curing agents can be provided where they are already mixed together as two component system, 2K system or 1K system. So the 2K system are used in particular when heating is not is an oven is not possible. Means 2K system whenever you can use where oven is not means curing is not possible in oven, and 1K system isocyanate curing agents can be blocked or made unreacted at room temperature. Curing of the reagent will occur only at the higher temperature in the oven stowing coatings. Then there are different application areas where we can use these kinds of reagents. So like for industrial coatings, like you can use automotives and OEM sectors. Then 2K systems where curing oven is not uh, is, curing is not in oven and is not possible. Vehicle aircraft and shell cross-linking. Then application white goods as well. Then coming on latex, latexes, acrylic regions. So we can just identify these kind of ways like acrylic regions or emulsion of acrylic polymer regions in water. Means the resin particles will solubilize in water, means would be disposed in water. You can say those kind of regions would be acrylic latexes. Then although these exist acrylic emulsions then can be cross-linked with curing agents as well. And coalescence, the main mechanism used to obtain a paint film or coating for a latex. So generally for acrylic latex paint, coalescents we add to form a continuous film and a smooth and even film on the substrate without any cracking. So there are different kind of uh, reagents or emulsions are available. First one is a pure acrylic latexes, then styrene acrylic latexes, and both are having different kind of properties would give you. So pure acrylic reagents actually are very good in yielding resistance and having very good flexibility, but they are expensive compared to styrene acrylic latexes. Then excellent gloss retentions, means almost they would give you better properties compared to styrene acrylic in exposure and for interior use. But in case of styrene acrylic, they are very good for water resistance, alkali resistance, but they are not good for exposure. They subject to yellowing and chalking very instant. So because of that you can't just you can prevent to use for exterior, but there are some application areas where we can use uh, latex acrylic reagents, generally for architecture paint, wall paint and masonry paint. Then in industrial automotive sectors also we can use these kind of reagents. So now coming on the next point, what is the selection criteria and how can we select a proper appropriate resin for our formulations. So there are some parameters has been given here in this figure. First one is glass transition temperature, then viscosity, then hydroxyl value number, then acid value, then minimum film formation temperature, then pH. So these 6 parameters you have to identify, you have to consider before selecting any kind of reagents for your formulation. I think that would give you a perfect decision this reagent you have to select or not. So we'll know about each one by one. So glass, first we'll know about the glass transition temperature. So glass transition temperature, you can say this is a transition temperature, means glass transition temperature is the temperature at which a polymeric material will go glossy solid state to a liquid solid. मतलब at glass transition temperature it will be having a little mobility, but once the temperature would increase, the mobility of the solid will increase, means it will move from solid to liquid state. Then the Tg of an acrylic reagent is defined by the reagent formulation as well. Means what is the Tg? It's 10, 12, 15, depends on the reagents by which you formulated and what's the formula. And this parameter has a key role on hardness. We know Tg is having very key role for providing hardness and flexibility. Generally, you can say the reagents which are having a high Tg, that would give you very better hardness, and the reagents which will be having a less Tg, they would give you a flexibility. Then coming on viscosity. So viscosity, actually it's the viscosity of an acrylic, you can just say that it should depend on the solid contents or the weight percent solid distribution of the polymer and molecular weight also. So if reagent having a more molecular weight, then you can say it's having a more viscosity. Then usually the following rules you can apply to check like what's a molecular weight and what's a solid content. So once you will get a reagent from your supplier, then they will give you all the specification that this reagent having this Tg, Ft and the solid content. So mainly you can say viscosity depends on the solid content of your reagent. Then coming on hydroxyl value number. So hydroxyl value number, this actually that hydroxyl value number, you can identify the value that indicates of the reactivity, means indicator of the reactivity of the acrylic reagent, means the functional groups with hydroxyl functions, means how many OH groups or COH groups are available in your reagents. Means for example, uh, like if you are adding in your formulation zinc and your reagent having a COH, means carboxylic groups, then COH group having negative charge and zinc having positive group charge, so it can react easily and will form agglomerate and all grit. So this is the value you can identify the reactivity of your reagent. Then coming on acid value. So acid value would give you the knowledge about the what is the acidity, or generally for pH value, means what is the acidity or and all. Then minimum film forming temperature. So the minimum film forming temperature is the minimum temperature under which the acrylic latex will lead to a cracked material rather than the continuous film. Means if you are having resin having 5 Ft, then you can apply that paint at 5. If you will go before less than 5, then it will start to cracking on the cracking and film cracking and peel off, these kind of things. So this is the term which would give you the information that this reagent is appropriate for the exterior application or for the interior application or at a specific temperature application. Then coming on pH value. So pH, actually it's water based acrylic reagents. We know that pH is very important parameter because water based paints are very susceptible for microbial growth and all. So bacteria can grow in the paint and can reduce the pH of the paint. And we know that acid is very good food for bacteria and fungus. So generally we have to maintain the specific pH for your formulation, like 7.5 plus to 8.5. So pH, by by pH meter we can check the pH of formulations. So that's why these are the parameters we have to know before the selecting of our resin for our formulations. And I would like to thank you for all. I hope that you would like this session because it's a very good information. If you want to know more information about the acrylic resins for coding, you can just go with the link. I will just put that link in the video description. So thank you everyone for watching the session, and